The factory was never quiet. Machines roared, sparks flew, steel screamed. For the men who worked there, this noise was ordinary. But one night, a man named Ethan Cole noticed something else. A stutter in the rhythm, a wrong note in the music of the machines. He bent to check, thinking it was nothing more than a loose bolt or a scrap of fabric. But then he saw it, under the live machine, deep in the shadows. Something blue flickered. Not fabric, an arm. Ethan froze. Slowly, he crouched, and that's when he saw her. A little girl, no older than 8, crouched tight against the wall. Her blue sweater was smudged with dirt, her ponytail messy, her eyes wide and wet with fear. She pressed her finger to her lips, begging for silence. When Ethan reached out and helped her crawl out, her sleeve slid back. On her wrist was something that made his blood run cold. Burned or tattooed into her skin was a strange black mark, not a drawing, a code. In that moment, Ethan knew this was an accident. This was a secret hidden in plain sight, and the girl's life depended on him. Ethan Cole was 47, an ex-Marine who now worked the night shift in a steel factory. He was a man who noticed things. He knew the beat of the machines like a drummer knows a song. And tonight, that beat was broken. The girl clung to his arm, trembling. She hadn't said a word yet, but her eyes told him everything. She was terrified, and she was hiding from someone. That's when he heard footsteps. Heavy, slow, deliberate. 2 men appeared at the far end of the factory floor. They weren't workers. No helmets, no gloves, no uniforms. They wore dark suits, crisp and clean, the kind you never see near grease and fire. One man had a scar carved across his ear. The other had flat, empty eyes that scanned the floor like a hawk. They didn't wander. They searched. The girl's grip tightened. And finally, she whispered a single word. Please. Ethan's stomach twisted. Whoever these men were, they weren't here by accident. One of them stepped forward. His face split into a smile that had no warmth. We'll take it from here. She's family. Ethan straightened. His voice was calm, but his jaw locked hard. Family doesn't make kids hide under machines. Before either man could reply, another figure appeared. Mr. Garrett, Ethan's boss. His forehead shone with sweat. His tie was crooked, his steps too quick. It's fine, Ethan, Garrett snapped. They're with me. The girl's safe. But Ethan looked at her face, and her eyes, while desperate, said the opposite. She wasn't safe. She was terrified. Ethan said nothing. He let them lead her away toward the loading dock. But his silence was not surrender. His mind burned with questions, and his instinct screamed that something was very, very wrong. Minutes later, Ethan slipped from his machine and followed them through the maze of corridors. The loading dock was lit with harsh white floodlights, shadows stretching across the concrete. A container truck sat waiting, its back doors wide open like the jaws of a beast. Ethan kept to the dark. What he saw next nearly stopped his heart. Mr. Garrett reached for a panel in the wall, one Ethan had walked past for years without ever noticing. Garrett pressed something, and the panel opened. From it, he pulled a heavy metal suitcase. One of the suited men handed Garrett a white envelope. Garrett opened it, and instead of money, pulled out a small silver key. He slid it into the suitcase lock, turned it, and lifted the lid. Inside were stacks of cash. Bundled, crisp, neat. Ethan stepped forward, unable to stay hidden any longer. What the hell is going on here? Garrett spun around. His face went pale, but then he forced a smile. He reached inside the case, pulled out a thick bundle of bills, and held it out like a bribe. Walk away, Ethan. Go back to your machine. Forget what you saw. Ethan's voice was sharp. Not a chance. Garrett's hand twitched toward his pocket. A phone. A call. Reinforcements. Ethan didn't wait. He turned and ran. He ducked behind parked trucks, breathing hard but steady. He pulled his phone and dialed. 911, what's your emergency? This is Ethan Cole, he whispered. Steel plant on Riverbend Road. There's a girl here, maybe 8 years old. 2 men in suits are trying to move her. My boss is involved. She has a mark on her wrist. Send police now. Stay on the line. I can't. They'll hear me. He ended the call. His heart hammered. Then he heard it. A whimper. Soft. Fragile. He peeked from behind the bumper. The two men were forcing the girl toward the open truck. One bent low, his voice low and threatening. Get inside. Now. The girl shook her head. Her knees buckled. Ethan's blood boiled. He couldn't wait any longer. He stepped out. Let her go. Both men snapped their heads up. Scar-ear sneered. Big mistake, old man. But then, faint at first, then rising, sirens. Police. The men stiffened. Their plan was unraveling. The girl twisted free, bolting toward Ethan. He dropped low, arms open. She crashed into him. Cab. Ethan shouted. Get in the cab and lock the door. She scrambled up, yanked the door, and slammed it shut. Locked. Scar-ear lunged. Ethan met him with a hard punch to the gut. The man folded. The second suit swung wild. Ethan dodged, grabbed his jacket, and slammed him into the bumper. Sirens screamed closer. Red and blue lights splashed across the concrete. Police cars skidded in. Doors flew open. Guns raised. Hands up, an officer shouted. Now! The men froze. Cuffs snapped tight. Ethan ran to the cab. It's okay. You're safe. The girl unlocked the door, fell into his arms, whispered into his chest. Thank you. Minutes later, Detective Ramirez arrived. She was tall, calm, her eyes sharp. She crouched down to the girl's level, voice soft. You're safe now. We're calling your grandmother. She's been looking for you. At the word grandmother, the girl's face lit with something fragile but real. Hope. Ramirez lifted her wrist gently. When she saw the mark, her jaw tightened. This isn't a tattoo. It's a trafficking brand. These men, they've been moving children like cargo. We've been hunting them for months. Officers spread across the dock. They pried open a crate. Inside were blankets, bottles of water, air holes drilled into the sides. Two other children lay inside, sedated but breathing. The detective's voice dropped. This was never about steel. This factory was a front. Radios crackled. Suspect vehicle stopped. Large cash case recovered. Ramirez's gaze hardened. Your boss won't walk away from this. Later that night, officers brought Mr. Garrett back in cuffs. His face looked hollow, empty. It started as scrap shipments, he muttered. Then returns. Then money. Then threats. You don't understand. Ethan cut him off. I understand. You were paid to look away. Garrett dropped his eyes. There was nothing left to say. But Ethan noticed something else. One man was missing. The quiet one with the cold eyes. Gone. Men like him always had exits planned. The girl still hadn't given her name. She seemed scared even of that. Detective Ramirez handed her a laminated card and a marker. Write what you want us to call you. Only us. The girl hesitated, then carefully wrote 4 letters. Me. May. Ethan smiled. That's a beautiful name. She tucked the card close to her chest. For the first time all night, her shoulders eased. 2 days later, the factory reopened. The company sent out emails filled with words like compliance and isolated incident. Workers whispered. Charges piled up against Garrett. But the man with cold eyes was still out there. Ethan went home. In his mailbox, he found a folded drawing. A truck with bars drawn across it. A giant X scratched through. Underneath, written in shaky letters, was one word. May. He pinned it to his fridge. That night, he stood over the railing in the factory, listening. The machines pounded their usual rhythm. No stutter. No flicker. He rested his hand on the steel. Because now he knew. Sometimes the smallest sound, a breath of flicker, a blue sleeve under a machine, can change everything.